Let's go! fight. That was a good fight. That was a very clean run. Very good run. Nice. I can't wait for this game to come out. It feels really good to play. Still got some jank, but he reached his combo limit. It's supposed to be next year. They're not taking a shortcut with the graphics. I mean, I don't like all the animal characters, but it looks really nice. Takes a long time to make art like this. Not as long as pixel art, but it still takes a long time. I think they're trying to make it more accessible for kids, which makes sense. I mean, Castle Crashers was huge because that game had the art style was appealing to kids. It had a lot of kid humor, farts and poop and stuff, and maybe the people that were older didn't like that, but it made it more of a family game. I'm sure you've noticed there's not many games you can really play with your family anymore. They're either too hardcore or too mature for kids, or they don't have couch co-op. So I think that's why it looks the way it does. Is they're trying to make something that can be played by families. This couch co-op's pretty much dead, right? I mean, even Tails doesn't have it anymore. Tails Tails was doing couch co-op a lot longer than anybody else was, really. Around the time that everybody stopped doing couch co-op, they were still doing it, and now Arise doesn't even have that anymore. So I think that's why it has the appealing cartoony visuals and the chibi designs, and it looks like something I would have loved when I was a kid. It looks like a better animated Saturday morning cartoon from like the 80s and 90s. And I think it's a wise decision. It's definitely going to turn off a lot of people. The combination of the anthropomorphic characters and how cartoony it looks. It's not going to appeal to everybody, but Streets 4 didn't either. A lot of people wanted the pixel art to come back. I think Streets 4 looks pretty clean, but certain characters like Estelle, she looks like way worse animated than the other two. I can see why they're going that direction, and it really does make sense. The Castle Crashers was big with kids. Kids love that game, especially since it was like $10. So even back then, you could save up money and you could get a lot of time out of that game. It's just that they've got the hardcore action game mechanics in there for people that might not like the art style. Um, they might think they've outgrown it or whatever, but it still plays really well. I think the main things they need to add is they need to add the ability to go back into your square string after a counter, because that's what feels really weird. Like sometimes on that boss, you'll counter him in the air, and you can't really punish him that much because he's too high above you. You can't go back into your S string anymore. They need to add that, and they need to add air parry. It feels weird to have such a satisfying parry that even if you use it on the boss, you can combo him pretty consistently, like you saw me doing there. But then you jump into the air and you're defenseless. You have no air dash. There's no air dodge. There's no parry. And I think the problem with adding an air parry is like how much harder it is to make it so that you can actually punish off it. Um, I've played other games that have that issue, like the two Vita Tails games. When you're on the ground, the counter system works great, but if you're juggling the boss and they go into their bursts and you counter them, a lot of times what happened is their hurt box would be way below you, so you couldn't really capitalize on it. And I think that's a really hard thing to fix. That was the only thing that was wrong with those two games battle systems, in my opinion. On the ground, the counter felt perfect. It felt like they had finally cracked the code and they had a balanced. Okay, the player, if they learn how to use the mechanics well, they can do these crazy long combos and stuff. But you always have to be on your toes. You're not just mindlessly putting in, muscle memory that you memorized like ages ago. You had to pay attention and get the counter. But that all fell apart when you got into the air. It was very rare for you to actually be able to do anything off it. Yeah, I don't really know. It's not really an easy thing to address. I mean, I guess the easiest way to do it would be if you countered them, they went back up to you. I think that would look really weird, but I mean, that would be my main concern with them adding an air parry, is that it would probably be a little bit jank like it was in Tales of Innocence R and Hearts R. The only time the air counter really worked at all was if you were fighting a big monster, because the big monsters in that game still staggered. You couldn't always juggle them and stuff, but their hurt box was still there. So if you did an aerial move and you countered in the air, you could still hit them. But like all the human bosses, uh, it felt like it was luck if you could actually get anything off it. I think that battle system is pretty good. Hopefully they'll just add more moves and make the parry a little bit more responsive. Sometimes you don't really have feedback. You don't have invincibility frames during it, so you still have to parry every hit of an attack if it hits more than once. Yeah, I think Killer Instinct, the new Killer Instinct, is like the only game that's really pulled that off. It's just such a hard thing to do because the characters can like position the enemy in like all these weird places and stuff, and now you've got like tag mode in there, complicating things even more. You have to find a way to like make it so that getting the counter actually feels rewarding. It needs to be there just to be able to defend yourself in the air, because your defensive options in the air are laughable in that game. You can't really do much. If your character has a move that moves them forward in the air, you can kind of use that, but you don't have anything that actually protects you. There's not a lot of invincibility frames in that game. I think that game has a lot of promise, though. They want me to give them feedback, so when I'm not such a mess mentally, I want to look into that, help them out. Definitely better than a lot of other beat 'em ups I've played, that's for sure. I think the dash has too much recovery as well. The fact that you can't cancel unless you hit something, like kind of like a fighting game, that feels a little bit weird too. But you know, the game's not done. I think it's got a really good foundation. It doesn't feel like they'll have to change that much. I think that they've got the seeds planted, I guess would be a way to put it. It's just a matter of fine tuning it, giving you a little bit more control. Because it's really not fun when you get it's not really animation lock in that game. It's mostly just like when that boss goes into the super mode, there really isn't much you can do. And the problem is that because the parry has like no invincibility frames, and there's other mooks around, it really messes with your timing. I found the most effective way to deal with that fight is to just, as soon as he moves, just move off axis from him. And that mostly seems to prevent him from attacking you, but even that is not really consistent. And if you get there with low health, then it's really hard to finish. Yeah, Castle Crashers was huge with kids. Kids love that game. Scripted? This smells like a scripted fight to me. Yeah, I was right. Obvious. I've played enough video games to tell when I'm gonna get a scripted fight. guy looks too similar to Adol. He's like exactly the same character. He's younger and he's not competent in fighting, but red hair, orphan, adventuring, and he doesn't talk. Like, I think they could have like made him look a little bit more different. He really does look like Adol. He's like exactly the same character. Combat is mad boring so far. Just 2-hit attack and dodge, that's it. It's not really engaging me. It feels too much like Tails Syndrome. 3-hit combo in Majin Ken for like 4 hours. I hope there's more to it later. This is pretty boring. It's too slow. Is there like more later? This is really boring. Especially compared to what I was just playing. This is like nothing. Hopefully this combat picks up. The character feels alright to control, but this combat is boring. I hope there's more moves. This is not really holding my interest. At least give me a better base moveset than this. keep giving this a chance, but this is just really slow paced. It's not really interesting. He feels alright to control, but the platforming is just really basic so far. I heard he doesn't even get like a double jump or anything. I don't know how much these mechanics are gonna hold. I don't know how long this game is. I'm gonna assume with pixel art this beautiful, we can't really make the game that long, so... maybe it doesn't overstay its welcome. I mean, they're like barely recycling any assets, so... I'm gonna assume this is probably like a 2-3 sitting game. Not easy to have pixel art this great and have like a really long game unless you start recycling assets. And we just got finished with Tales of Arise on this channel. We saw how that game recycled assets too much. And it got really painful to play at the end. Hopefully the people that made this had the foresight. It's like, okay, we can't get much more out of these assets. We're just gonna end the game. The end of Arise was like, we don't have any more enemy types. We've already recycled them too much, so now we're just gonna give you bosses. Bosses that have, like, even more health. Hopefully this game will not get to that point. One downside to doing really good pixel art like this is a lot harder to get as much out of your assets this way, because when everything is so meticulously drawn, it's really easy for people to notice. Like, yeah, it's the same sprite I was fighting before, but it's a boss and it has more health. It's the same enemy sprite, but, you know, it's green this time. I heard this game's pretty short, though. I don't think it'll be a problem. Just from playing so many pixel art games and when I was younger, I noticed those kind of things. Arise was not pixel art, but had that same problem. Yeah, this combat's mad boring. I haven't watched anything on this game. I mean, I watched when they announced it. I watched the trailers and stuff, but I didn't watch any raw gameplay. I don't know when that game's coming out. Did they announce a release date for that? So I'm really excited for that game, too. I'm probably like that more than this. That looks more up my alley. This is kind of interesting so far, but I don't know, just everything about it feels basic except how it looks. Not really any engaging gameplay mechanics. I mean, I guess if you haven't played, like, tons of these games when you're younger. But the problem is I have, so I'm feeling a lot of deja vu right now. It looks really pretty, but... it feels alright to control, but apparently the platforming doesn't get much more advanced than this. It's not gonna be like a Guacamelee or something. Yeah, this combat is... I can't describe how boring this is. It really does feel like I'm playing the beginning of a Tales game. 3-hit combo, Majinken. Have fun. Definitely what I'm experiencing right now. Come on, man. Can I, like... It doesn't, like, double jump or anything. You just, like, just one jump. I hope this gameplay gets better. It's really not grabbing me right now. I've played too many games like this. Give me a move. Give me a move, please. Come on. This is really dry. I'm not gonna lie. It looks beautiful, but gameplay is just nothing. Give me like at least like a launcher or something. Okay, no new move for that either. Just still 2-hit combo. don't know if you get, like, experience or anything. There's, like, no, like, leveling up or anything. This might be one of those games where fighting enemies is, like, kind of pointless. At least so far. It doesn't seem like there's much of a reason to fight them. I don't know, the combat they showed in the trailers was way more interesting than this. Like, I hope that it'll pick up soon. Alright, he can jump up ladders, so he's a competent platformer protagonist. Worst platformer protagonists are the ones that can't jump up ladders, and can't jump down them. Those are, like, the worst to control. He's capable of that, I'll give him that much. Platforming's pretty rudimentary, but I do like that you can do that. 'Cause that's, like, something I've been doing since, like, Mega Man 2. Those things do anything? I don't understand what those do. They don't seem to do anything. Definitely do without the pushing blocks. I think every video game is better with no block puzzles. He's definitely a worthy video game protagonist. he has to push blocks. Like all the worthwhile ones have to do that at some point. Luke from Tales of the Abyss. It's like the first thing he does in that game is push a block. There hasn't been any really stupid puzzles, though. I don't think they're great, mostly because the character doesn't have any interesting traversal abilities. Kind of just has basic shit you would expect from a platformer protagonist. But I guess they didn't want to make it like Massacre, like Guacamelee. Imagine most developers want to avoid making it like Guacamelee because that shit is like... The things you do in the first level of that game are like final level shit and final level shit in most platformers. I don't think this one will get to this point. He doesn't really have any interesting abilities. Kind of just walk and jump. I'm getting annoyed that he does not have a double jump, though. Would you just get up there, please? You're so damn slow. Make him faster? We're playing for like an hour now. Like, when is he gonna get a different move? Give me something interesting. Hopefully I can get some moves here or something. Bootleg at all. There's gotta be a shop here somewhere. That's gonna determine if I keep playing this game. Because it's really not holding my interest. Except for visually. The gameplay is just kind of nothing. There's somebody I can buy like moves from or something? I don't want to go another hour with 2 moves. Okay, is there gonna be like a shop or what? Really banging me over the head with this money mechanic, but there's nothing to use it on. Please give me more than 1 move. There's like no store? I really don't understand why they like make games like this and they give you like no moves. I bought a game on Switch the other day. It's just like square, string, and jump. and dodge. That's it. Okay, I guess there really is no move. It's more two-hit string. There's nothing there, like... What? Yeah, this is really boring so far. I mean, it looks nice, but it's just, like, not really that interesting. I'm gonna look up a walkthrough for this game. I'm getting kind of bored playing it. It looks really nice, but it's just gameplay-wise, it's boring. I'm glad I did not buy that game. I'm sure it picks up later, but man, it's so slow. It's like anything interesting happened in that game. Oh, the game I was mentioning, Smashing the Battle Ghost Soul. I bought that game and it was just really boring. Just mashing a square string and dodging, repeat. Yeah, I don't understand why people still make games like that. When you have more options at your disposal in fucking Final Fight from like 32 years ago, I think you've messed up. I don't want to sound like every game needs like 8 million moves. It's mostly just they have more options playing like Final Fight from the late 80s than your game that just came out. Like I think that's a problem. At least try to outdo something that came out like before Clinton was president. Like I think that's a pretty basic expectation. I don't know, a lot of retro games are like that though. It's like, okay, you're giving me the same thing I played back in the 80s, but it looks nicer and it runs at a better frame rate. But that's it. Like I need more than that, especially as somebody who's been playing games for so long. I don't get engaged when it just feels like, Mario but slightly better. I know that game will pick up, but I don't feel like playing it right now. It's really not it's not engaging me so far. Okay, so there is a skill tree. All right. So I guess a couple levels away. All right. Well, I'll go back into it then. I'll go back into it. They're saying the first half dozen or so levels, so I must be very close. All right. I'll give this more of a chance. I'll jump back in. That's a problem I have with a lot of beat 'em ups that come out these days. Is Yeah, he put all this effort into making brand new assets. In some cases, like beautiful pixel art or 3D models, but then you give them like as many moves, if not less, than Final Fight. It's like, how do you go wrong there? I want to play an Evolution. I don't want to play the same thing I played when I was 4. But I understand it's really hard to balance that kind of thing, because you look at, like, people that don't want running in Streets 4. They really do just want to play the same thing. There's just no easy way to please everybody, and I understand that. I understand that aspect of it. I'm a beat-em-up boomer that wants... I want Evolution. I don't want Double Dragon, but worse. Like, I'm open to the genre being explored and evolved, and not just same thing again. People are like, oh, Streets 4 doesn't need running. It's like, well, if it doesn't need running, then... Why does the combo system basically function around the fact that you have to circumvent the issue that you can't run? I don't like the scoring system in that game at all. It's like, okay, if I could run, or like dash jump or something, or I had a dodge, that would make it more interesting, but the way it is, it's kind of just like memorization. You really have to get around the fact that you can't run. No, there's definitely a group of gamers that just want... They want the same thing they played when they were 3. And I get nostalgia's the thing, but... I definitely like... shit I played when I was younger gets better. I don't want to just play the same thing. But a lot of beat-em-ups that come out are exactly that. I hate shit like this. Just tell me the solution. Do I have to do this? I'm, like, not interested. He says turn away, and it's like it's not doing anything. Okay, what? It's not enough. I'm stuck with same moves and no interesting platforming. Let's pad out the game with this. Just tell me where to go, fucker. Okay, just give me the solution. What's the point of shit like this? Is there a walkthrough for this? I don't have patience for this. I'm already not really having a good day. Just want to, like, see if there's anything interesting in this game at all, besides just walk and jump and two-hit combo. I can't find a text walkthrough. I don't want to watch a video. This game is just really boring so far. I was really excited for it. It's just boring. Why is there no, like, text walkthrough? Hate when people put up, like, a 4-hour video. It's like, I don't want to watch that. Just give me the solution. They don't tell you what the reward is. I'm not doing all that shit. I'm really not. Someone just put up the fucking solution. God damn it, man. I don't want to watch some guy talking over it for 4 hours. Such a pain when you just want to find a solution for something and nobody does a walkthrough anymore. Like, but just text. I think I found it. Alright. Is this person going to have the solution or not? Are they just going to get lost? Alright, I'm following this guide right now. Do you have the solution or not? No, this person is useless. I hate shit like this. Just pad out the game with a dumb puzzle. No, this person is useless. They don't have it. It's like no, like, levels or anything. It's just like, just people putting up, like, 4-hour videos with no commentary. It's like no one makes text walkthroughs anymore. That's why I miss actually reading shit to find things in games. I really get annoyed when everyone just puts up long-ass videos and they don't even put up, like, chapter timings for them either, so you can't, like, easily find it. I couldn't find a single text walkthrough for this. Just a bunch of sites with ads. This video is worthless. This guy does not help. I definitely missed the GameFAQs era. It's like, here, you don't need to watch a long-ass video. Just, here's the solution in text. It's so hard to get that now. You don't know if the person's even going to, like, finish it. They might just, like, stop. Alright, I think I found it. Oh, it's just a pointless trinket. That's it? That's all you get for that? Alright, hold on. This is dumb. Ugh, this is so irritating. Why do they put shit like this in games? Seriously. Just give me a straightforward level with no gimmicks. This person keeps screwing it up. They don't know how to do it either. I don't feel like finding another video. Just have to sit through people talking. Does every game have to have this, like, stupid maze? I'm about to Alt F4 out of this game. I hate shit like this. It's like the movement mechanics aren't interesting either. All I can do is roll and jump. Just give me the upgrades already so I can decide if I want to flush this game. Does it take so damn long to get to upgrades? Please give me the upgrades. What? Oh, this game is not fun. It's taking too long to get going. So what was the point of that then? This game's so slow-paced. Should not take an hour to get upgrades. You give me, like, literally one move. It's not even fun fighting anything. It's just boring. Character can't really do anything interesting. He has like a 2-hit combo and a dodge and a jump slash, and that's it. It's really not holding my interest. There's supposed to be an upgrade tree later on. I hope that that will make this not boring, but it's just way too slow. It feels like Tales game progression, where you have like 3 moves for a couple hours, and it's like a real test of patience. I haven't been playing this for that long. It's been like maybe an hour, but I don't have a lot of faith it's going to get much more interesting. I didn't pay anything for this, I just paid for Game Pass, so I don't have any obligation to keep playing this like I did with Arise. I'll give this an honest chance. So far, it's pretty boring. This game's so slow! I don't want to make fast platformers anymore. This is taking forever to get going. I was really looking forward to this, too. Is this going to be the next disappointing game I play? I don't know. I've been gaming since the 80s, so I am hard to please. I'm the kind of old fart gamer. I like when stuff like this is different. Not just the same thing I've already played. That's kind of how this feels so far. Movement isn't very interesting either. I don't think this game is that long, though. It can't possibly be very long. There's too many unique assets in this game. When you're doing pixel art this high quality, it kind of really limits how long your game can be. I don't think they're gonna pull the Tales of Arise and just give me a bunch of palette swap bosses. Okay, so I can go back to town now. I want to see what's in the skill tree before I flush this. Okay, you won't go back? I guess I have to go finish that level, don't I? I really want you to play this two-hit sword combo. I'm gonna beat you over the head with this two-hit sword combo and one jump. You can't dash or sprint or anything. I guess I have to keep doing this then. Yeah. Alright. Let's look at this skill tree before I Alt F4. What do you got? 3-hit combo! Thank the heavens. Jeez, man. Oh, they're really gonna drip feed anything interesting in this combat, are they? I think I'm done with this game for tonight. Yeah. All that build up for the 4-hit combo. Yeah. Alright. This will get played again later. Yeah. That's enough of that for tonight. Let's play something more interesting. It's probably not a long game. It's probably like 5-6 hours. Unless they really... I actually do hear that game has some padding. Like, I guess you have to keep revisiting levels to clear other ones. And I guess that's how they're padding out those beautiful pixel art assets. Which is kind of a bummer. I've heard some people point that out in reviews, and I could definitely see how that would be a problem. It doesn't seem like it's like a Metroidvania where, you know, there's backtracking, but later on you can move around a lot faster. Seems like really all he can do is just walk and jump. Like, I'll give it more of a chance later. Actually, I found a really good review here. So it's not just me. Combat consists of swinging 2 or 3 times, roll dodge, and do it again. There's nothing kinetic or anything that makes a player think. It's just bog standard stuff. Which is a shame because the store animations look cool. Sweeping attacks that flow into one another with force and power. Yeah, this is a temporary power-up that requires minutes of uninspired combat to unlock for a brief moment. The timer used for this power-up mode is also a meter for any cool special move Flynn can do. Want to switch up combat with a powerful swing that knocks enemies in the air or bounce off them with a pogo sword? Well, that costs time for Flynn's power-up mode that the player has to grind the timer back to full to use it. It just seems unnecessarily restrictive. The platforming is basic, yes, I noticed that so far. Nothing really nips at the player's feels, or whatever. Stage is just laid out to hop every few seconds to circumvent pits or climb higher. Since the stages are so dull and simple, the exploration feels like a chore. Nothing makes the player seek out corners or try different things because any secret seems just out of sight with enough hint that something special is around. Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. I was really looking forward to that game. I've had that game on my wish list forever, but yeah. That wasn't doing it for me. I'd probably have more fun just watching someone play that, to be honest. Yeah, that did not grab me at all. That happens a lot, though. That's the thing about indie games. You have two likely outcomes. The first is that it's like the game I was just playing. The pixel art is beautiful, right? But the gameplay is boring and it's not very well designed. Or you have something like Assault Spy or like Corridor of Time, which, you know, those games look like crap, but they play really well. So you can look past the bad graphics. The game is not visually appealing to play, but it's fun. The mechanics are deep and they challenge you, and you want to keep coming back for more. despite the fact that, it doesn't look cutting edge. But that's generally how indie games work. Kind of got to pick your poison. It's either going to look like crap or it's going to play like crap. It's something special when you can find a game that looks good and plays good. It's either like they have like beautiful pixel artists, like the people that made that Flynn game. That game looks great. It's just that the gameplay doesn't really motivate you to see more of those pixel art assets. I wasn't feeling engaged at all. I mean, it wasn't challenging me either. Like, I didn't feel like I was challenged. The platforming was very basic. There were some nice things about it, like being able to jump up the ladders instead of having to climb up them slowly. That's something I really liked, but there just wasn't much else to it. I want to try to grab this, but I'm not going to have the money for it right away. This looks more up my alley. I don't know. I didn't pay anything for that game. I played that on Game Pass, so I don't feel like I need to finish it. Rise, I powered through that game because, I'm passionate for Tales. I wanted to give it an honest chance. And also, when mods come out, I don't want to have to do any grinding to do the mods. So I was like, I'll suffer through it. The post game was a lot more enjoyable than the main game. I'll give Arise that much. The post game was actually quite fun. I enjoyed doing that. It's just the story was awful. And I've seen a lot of posts on the Tales Reddit the past couple of days. It's been interesting to see people like turn their back on that game, so to speak. Basically, like everything that was pissing me off those last couple streams when I finished that game, everybody was pointing out those exact same things. Like just 4 hours of info dump and like just constant cutscenes and trying to make you care about things they revealed like within the last 2 hours of the game, and then every enemy in that final dungeon, almost all of them just being palette swapped bosses with more health. I've seen so many threads pointing that out. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not just a Tales boomer that won't accept anything but the old games. It's like, no, these are people that haven't even played a Tales game before, still calling the game out for stuff like that. And that made me feel a lot better because I know I do have high standards. I've been playing games for like pretty much my entire life, right? Since the 80s. So I can be hard to please. I can be very critical. I can get very annoyed very fast. And I thought maybe I was just having a rough night or I wasn't giving myself enough of a break. I powered through that game in a 6.5 hour stream, but no. There's so many threads about that on there. The story shits the bed at the end. There's too many cutscenes. The plot doesn't make any sense. The plot jumps the shark, and then everything is a palette swap boss. Like, and the ending was dumb. It's like, all right, maybe I don't have that high standards. If people who haven't even played a Tales game before are still getting pissed off at it. I've seen people pointing out the hyper armor too. Like, I thought that was just me as well, but no. People have been like, the hyper armor sucks. Why do I have aerial moves that I can't use because they walk through it? Which is a pretty good question. Giving me 6 aerial moves I can use at any given point without having like a charge attack system or something implies that I can use them, right? No, you can't. What's this game called? Unsighted? It's not on Keymailer. This is going to be on Game Pass too. I'll try this game out. Don't start with Zestiria. Zestiria is a piece of shit. Don't start with that game. Whatever you do not start with that game. Zestiria is poop. I will give Arise that much. Despite everything I hated about it, I still finished it. Zestiria I could not finish. I uninstalled that game. I actively hated everything about it. At least Arise, I did play it to completion. I gave my honest opinion on it. But Zestiria, that's one of the few Tales games I rage quit. I could not stand that game. Everything about it was just awful. The honeymoon period is over. Yeah, it happens with every game. It happens with every game, and I think like there's a number of things that perpetuate it. All the main publishing sites, and then the people that get sponsored to play them. Some of them aren't really they aren't honest, and they'll hype up something like crazy because they're getting paid to play it, and it just creates unrealistic expectations. It's a number of things that do it. It's not any particular group of people. It's just all of it. Social media hypes it up, and then like the big creators hype it up, and then the channels hype it up, and you see all these 9 out of 10 reviews, and it's like, did these people even play the game? Like, did they even finish it? No. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to really do have to play something yourself, or at the very least, watch somebody who's got some experience before you can really make a purchase. You can't really rely on any one particular group. Even passionate small channels like mine, I'm not always a reliable source either. There's plenty of games I can't stand that people love. Like you need a wide amount of information to really buy a game these days. At least for full price. I mean, when it's like 10, $15, it's like, if you don't like it, it's like the price of a decent meal, right? If you play it for a couple hours, I think you've gotten your money's worth. I mean, it's like $40, $50 to go to the movies, right? If a game is like $15, you play it for a couple hours and decide it's not for you and you can't refund it, it's like, is it really that big of a deal? No. Just going to a movie and watching it once is way more expensive than most video games, but if you're buying stuff the day it comes out and you're not using like discounts or whatever, you definitely have to look at a variety of sources. What do the people that are what do the people that are new to the series think? What do the people that are boomers like me think? What do the professionals think? What do the passion channels think? You kind of have to weigh all those resources and see if it's for you. Otherwise, it's better to just twiddle your thumbs and wait. Play something else until it's cheap. Well, those games are designed for like journalists, right? The gameplay is nothing special. It's got a lot of cutscenes and stuff. It's more of a story oriented thing. Those games are always going to review very well. And you can't really fault them for that because sometimes it feels like the gameplay is not the focus. The problem with Arise is the gameplay is jank, it's unresponsive, and it doesn't always feel that satisfying. The story I found was pretty interesting. I think there was enough going on in the story throughout the first 5 lords that I actually felt like watching most of the cutscenes. But then the story has all those dumb plot twists, and it's just told in a really bad way. Like they had like no money to finish the game. They had a deadline, weighing them down. It's like, all right, this shit needs to be out in September. Like it's like February right now. You need to get this done now. Like here's the script. Here's the script. Make all the cutscenes. Here's all the voice clips. They're like, all right, well, the last part of the game is going to be like 90% cutscenes. It's like, all right, whatever, ship it. I don't even think the story is a really good redeeming factor for Arise, unfortunately. It really falls apart at the end. And it's always worse when a JRPG does that shit than like something that's shorter. I don't think DMC5 had a really interesting story because it was so predictable. Everybody predicted the plot twists in DMC5 like months before it came out. And then the game came out and it was exactly what everybody was saying. There were people saying that they had it leaked, and then there were people that were just theorizing. And it was all true. Like there wasn't anything really interesting in that story. I mean, the ending of it was pretty good. I think that was pretty impactful, but like the whole plot was so painfully obvious from the start. But it's like a 6 to 8 hour game, and there's so much value in just the core gameplay. It's like even if the story is not as good as DMC3, the game is still worth playing. And realistically, even if you only play that game like 2 or 3 times, watching the cutscenes and interacting with the story is such a small part of your time with it. But when JRPGs do that shit, it's like such a massive investment to play it. And it really, really sucks when the story drops the ball, and it just makes you question, why did I bother watching the cutscenes? Why didn't I just, play the battles and stuff, do the grinding? That's kind of how Arise felt to me. I liked the majority of the characters. I liked Alphen. I think he was a very good protagonist. I like how they had another adult protagonist. They don't do that much in Tales. Most of them are teenagers, and they just kind of go through the same like high school shit that I never want to go back to. I like that he was an adult. He still needed help with things like every adult does. No adult is an invulnerable badass. He had things figured out, but he had to learn to like not blame himself for shit that wasn't his fault. That guy got dealt a really shitty hand, but he didn't let it turn him into a bad person. And he realized that he needed to let that shit go and make friends and stuff. I really like that aspect. It's just the overarching plot was really weak. I think it started pretty strong and then it just kind of fizzled out really fast. I think Arise needed a delay. No, I don't think it needed a delay. I think they needed to do like focus testing for it. And I imagine that's part of the problem. Japan doesn't do focus testing as much. Um, they tend to just release shit, and maybe they'll patch it later. I mean, that's a lot of the game industry right now in general. But they release something buggy and broken and unpolished, and then they make us pay full price for it, and then when the game is like $5 on the eShop or something, they fix it. They don't really do the kind of development where they actually get feedback from people. The last time I could consider that happening would be both Neo betas. Like, those were actual betas, right? They came out months before the game released. The game was not done. And they actually used that feedback to make the games better. So it felt like you weren't just playing some glorified demo that they're calling a beta, even though the game is already done and ready to ship. And feasibly, they can't change anything outside of a small day one patch. Like, the Neo demos that they did, those betas, those were actually really great. You know, the first Neo, the beta for that had durability. It had durability on the weapons, which would have been fucking awful. That game is already hard, and it's not always a fair kind of hard, right? So having the weapons break like Breath of the Wild would have completely ruined it. But they got enough feedback from the demos, and they took that shit out. But Japan in general does not do that. They mostly just let it rock. They let the game release, and then you get a pretty shitty experience when you buy it, versus when you wait a couple months. But to be fair, it's really hard to do that kind of thing when they're in a pandemic in their country. Japan is still really fucked up from the pandemic, so I can't really hold it against them. I think the best outcome for Arise would be for them to patch it later on. Quality of life, add new content and stuff. The game sold like 1 million copies in a week, so I'm sure there's lots of meetings going on right now. Like, how can we support this game and keep the momentum going? They obviously can't crap out another Tales game. They're done with crapping out Tales games every year. So a logical outcome is for them to continue to support it and fix some of the jank and stuff. It's possible they may have actually wanted to do a remaster, not a remaster, but a focus test, or like an earlier beta, but the pandemic really prevented them from doing that. Yeah, if the story is solid the whole way through, it can carry a lot of people through games. I'm not that way. I need actual gameplay because I've been gaming since the '80s, so I'm used to okay, the story is going to be like some poorly translated text in the intro and like really bad English, but the gameplay is going to be awesome and it's going to keep you coming back. That's the kind of shit that really keeps me interested. But a lot of people will play something that's subpar gameplay wise. If the story's good, and that's totally fine. To each their own. That it doesn't. It's not enough for me, but a lot of people are totally okay with that, and that's cool. DMC Five is a perfect example. I think the story in that game is it doesn't really move the genre, doesn't move the story forward much at all. Like, really, the only thing that happens in that game is Virgil comes back, and then they patch things up with their family, and then they leave. Like, that's all that happens in that game. Every other story beat was completely obvious just from the trailers. Like, I don't think that game really has a good story at all. They really haven't done a good story in DMC since 3. I think with 5, they just realized they needed to play it safe because there hadn't been one in such a long time, and then the fact that, I guess they don't feel like it matters or something. If they delayed Arise and they actually gave us a demo and they took feedback, then that would have been ideal, but it's really rare for Japanese companies to do that. The two Neo games being a hell of a lot better because they did that it's pretty rare. Normally it's like, we're going to give you this demo from a con that was like 8 months ago. Have fun. The game's already done, even if there's like something that people completely hate about the game, we can't really change it. The game is already ready to ship, that kind of thing. Last time I could think of that happening was the DMC5 demo, where people were doing reversals on accident, so they took them out. Because that demo was already months old by the time they gave it to us. That demo was the one that was at Gamescom, I think. That was like the con the con that that game was announced at. So it was already like 6 months old at that point. Because if you go back and you play the demo for DMC5, it does have reversals. But apparently people were doing it on accident, so they took it out. But it's very rare for that to happen. What happened with Final Fantasy 15? I have that game, but I haven't played it. I played it for a little bit, like an hour or two. I already know the ending of Final Fantasy 15 because I watched my friends play it when it came out, and that was one of the main reasons I never really wanted to play it. I don't like depressing endings. We've gotten too many of them in games lately. So much that they basically made like an alternate ending to that game because everybody hated the one that was in the game. No, they did that with, They did that with the last Star Wars movie. You find out why the Emperor comes back in Fortnite. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that actually did happen. It's like, okay, your 8-year-old kids, or grandkids or whatever, that play Fortnite, they know why the Emperor's back because they play Fortnite, but, you know, fuck you if you watched those movies when you were a kid, right? Back in the 80s and 70s. Like, no, you need to go play Fortnite to figure out why. What the fuck, man? I can't believe that happened. That's not a sign of the end times, I don't know what is. Just like Virgil being Nero's father was basically, apparently was confirmed by somebody who works at Capcom at a convention like ages ago. Like, it's been all but confirmed for a while. It wasn't until 5 and Special Edition came out that they actually confirmed that that was a thing. It's like, why don't you just tell us in the game instead of beating around the bush about it? Yeah, this game has co-op. The Star Wars movies are shit. They're really bad. Basically, I only watched the first new movie, but the Cliff Notes version is that they had absolutely no plan. They had no plan when they started it, and they had different people working on all the movies, like writing them and stuff. So there's no meaningful payoff to anything. Things just happen for no reason, and you can tell like by the end. by the end, they're like, we need to find a way to end it. So the Emperor just literally comes back for, like, no reason. And you have to hear his message by playing Fortnite. I don't really think they're worth watching. I watched the first one in the theaters. Like, this is okay, but I didn't really see a reason for it to exist other than just to harvest more money out of people. Well, they had the problem. It's like Tales of Vesperia. You know, you kill off the villain halfway through, and then there's nobody left for them to fight. So, alright, let's just bring the Emperor back. And then make you find out why in Fortnite. So, you know, if you're like somebody my mom's age, you know, late 50s, early 60s, and you grew up, you're like the literal original generation that watched Star Wars, and you watch those movies, like, how are you gonna know how the Emperor comes back or why? Like, I'm way out of the Fortnite bracket, and I don't have kids, so I don't have grandkids for her to know why why the Emperor's back. What a slap in the face to people who, like, grew up with that shit, really. I don't think my mom cares that much, but I'm sure if she did, she would be really angry. You know, because my mom watched those movies when she was like a, you know, a teenager. So pretty much about as young as it gets. You know, people can be dismissive of new games and stuff. New games and new media. Just because it's not what they grew up with. But with the new Star Wars stuff, it was painfully obvious, and like, this really is objectively worse than whatever you grew up with. Even if you grew up with the prequels. I think that was the impression everybody had from it, no matter how young or old they were. How close-minded they were or not. It's like... It's more like people just being honest. I don't think anybody really had a lot of faith in those movies. No, it's just weird to bring the Emperor back. Like, wasn't that the whole point of the original trilogy? Original 6 movies. Like, 30 years of movies was like Anakin Skywalker falls from grace and redeems himself. But none of that matters if the Emperor just randomly comes back. Like, completely undermines the whole point. Like, it makes the other movies like pointless to watch in retrospect, which is like the worst kind of ass pull. I'm not a big Star Wars fan either, but I can see why people are pissed off about that. The worst kind of ass pull is when it affects your enjoyment of older installments in something. You know, Star Ocean 3 does that as well. That's why people hate that plot twist. Because it's not really explained well. The characters don't care. But it also undermines everything else. Every other game in the series is ruined by a plot twist. Definitely one of the worst things media can do when you have an ass-pull plot twist like that. And it ruins the other stuff, the other, like, installments or whatever. And Star Ocean 3 is infamous for that. That's why the 2 games they did after Star Ocean 3, they just kind of ignored that happened. Say they did that with this series too. Devil May Cry 2. They have not made a game that goes past that at all. It basically pushed it so far into the canon that it may never happen. But obviously that's not as impactful as like 6 movies worth of content being ruined because the main antagonist just comes back randomly for no reason other than the fact that they killed off every other antagonist they had at that point, so that's like the real reason why he came back. It's like there's nobody else left. They're all dead. Like, I don't know, a lot of really ancient franchises are like that, though, because they go on so long that the original people that wrote them are long gone. They've passed away or they retired. It's not really going to be a consistent vision for a character when it goes on for that long. Just like all those memes you see of, like, Batman with guns and shit, like... you know, the original creators would not want that, but they're long gone. They have, like, other people writing it, so... You're not going to get that kind of consistency. Problem with Star Wars is they made, like, 3 entire movies to make the, Anakin's redemption more impactful. But then they make 3 more movies that completely ruin it. So that's pretty shitty no matter how you slice it. That's 30 years of movies, like several generations of people watching that shit, and now none of it really even matters anymore. I feel like this series kind of avoided that because Kamiya has not had anything to do with Devil May Cry in like 20 years. So, what he thinks and what he would have done doesn't really matter because he was never given the opportunity to. That's what sets this apart from other, like, really old pieces of media where the story is still going. Like, the original creator backed out pretty much after the first game. So, it was pretty much always just a clean slate. And nothing really happens in the second game. The second game is so far detached that, they know that people hate the game, and narrative-wise, it's basically just like a filler episode. So, they just keep pushing it forward in the canon so that they don't have to, like, actually address anything that happens in it. The Devil May Cry is pretty unique in that regard, that they don't have that problem. It's not like the people that actually originally worked on it, they haven't done anything with the series in such a long time. The sequel trilogy is going to get retconned. That's actually even worse of an ass pull, if you ask me. They don't even want to make those decisions final. I could see that happening, though. They really wrote themselves into a corner. They really treated the original characters like shit, and, they're all in, like, their 70s now. I mean, realistically, they're not going to be around much longer. I think that's what really sucks about those new movies, is when you try to bring back shit from, like, the 70s and 80s with the original cast, it's like they're really old now, so you kind of need to knock it out of the park the first time. Because realistically, there's, like, not much more time that you can really count on them to be available. That's what makes it suck. Carrie Fisher died while they were filming it. Ironically enough, I don't think her passing away really affected much, as they had no plan from the start. As depressing as that is, I don't think her passing away really was that impactful to what they were trying to do, because they had, like, no plan. But, people don't live forever. You kind of need to treat those characters with respect when the actors are, like, that old. Like, they're not going to be around forever. Did they really say they're gonna retcon the sequels? How does that even work? Like, you spent like 5 years and all that money making those movies. How do you even retcon something that large? I can't think of any media that's managed to do that. Reboot, yes. You know, when you realize that like this is too fucked to even write anything at this point, like we need to just get a clean slate. I think Resident Evil is well past that point. Devil May Cry has stayed pretty consistent, despite really only having two games with good stories, and that's 1 and 3. Like they've stayed pretty consistent. They don't need to reboot it. Resident Evil is a mess. They've had like a dozen zombie outbreaks at this point. It's like how fucked would their planet be? How fucked would their planet be? Like, you know, our planet's fucked because of the coronavirus and shit, but like having like a dozen zombie outbreaks would it'd be like irreparable. But they're still using the same universe, and it just like I don't even understand how it makes sense anymore. They have like literal werewolves running around and shit. It's like how do people like function in that world? Like every 2 years there's another virus outbreak turning people into like zombies. They're either slow zombies or they're the fast zombies that run at you and shit. But I can't think of anything that's just straight up retconned everything. Usually it's just like they push it so far out that they can just kind of ignore it. So that people that did like that stuff, there's a small percentage of people that like the stuff that everybody else hates. Like they're still getting what they want, what they like, but it's not like holding them back from a writing standpoint. Kind of like Dragon Ball GT. Like most people don't like Dragon Ball GT. Well, from what I understand, what they've been doing is they just kind of ignore it. It's like it happened, but we're not really going to outright mention it because we don't want to have continuity problems with shit that came out like 25 years ago that most people that still like Dragon Ball don't enjoy. But I can't think of anything where they just like retcon everything. That's going to be a massive that's going to be a massive undertaking. Yeah, but people don't like it, and when they did start making new Dragon Ball stuff again, it's basically just ignored because it doesn't make sense to have some 50 episode anime series from 25 years ago holding you back when most people didn't really like it. It was nowhere near as popular as Z. It came and went pretty fast, and people just went back to watching Z again and watching the movies and all the games and shit. Dragon Ball GT fizzled out really fast. Even when they brought it over here, right? It I never really heard anybody talk about it. It came and went really fast. Z stayed popular. Z has been perpetually popular. GT, even when they brought it over here like 10 years later, it's still like no one really cared about it. I think Resident Evil really needs a reboot. I don't know how they've gone like 25 years with no reboot of Resident Evil. That's just mind boggling to me because it's just like the whole premise to it. It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, the first couple games, it did make sense because it was mostly contained to one city, right? And they blow up the city. But then it starts spreading like all over the world and shit. And now the zombies are running, and now they're these big like guts monsters and shit. It's like, how do people like function? Like, it's happened so many times. Like, it's really weird how they keep clinging onto that canon. I really think Resident Evil would be better if they just wiped it clean. And then you could go like at least another 15 years without it being like really hard to swallow that this version of Earth has had like 15 zombie outbreaks. There's been like 15 of them at this point. Like, how are there still like normal humans left? Like, it should be like they should be extinct by that point. Or like they would be so secluded trying to protect themselves that there would be like no semblance of normal society. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. The virus doesn't matter. It's the fact that there's still all these different kinds of zombies after all that time has passed, and somehow they still seem to have like a normal society. I thought Super Sentai was bad with that shit. Like, there's an Ultraman, like there's like 50-foot tall monsters going through town like every Saturday. But no one really seems to care. Like, you run when the monster is there, and then Ultraman or the Super Sentai, the Rangers kill it, and then everything's back to normal until next Saturday. Like, that's somewhat more believable than like we've had all these different kinds of zombies and everything seems to be okay. Let's see. I feel like playing something else. I'm just trying to figure out what. Hold on. I'm glad Tails had the foresight to do it like Final Fantasy. They don't really have that many connected worlds, so they don't have to worry about shit that some Japanese dude that doesn't work for the company anymore wrote like 20 years ago. They don't have to worry about that. Tails has done a pretty good job of that. They've only done a couple direct sequels. Most of them are way worse narratively than the first one. They don't even really have a point to exist, but they never tried to have like a constant continuity going. A lot of the other old video game franchises don't do that either. It's pretty much just like Resident Evil. Tales, if it was a constant continuity, would be a mess. That's for sure. Because they've done like the two world plot like 4 times now. They've done it like 4 or 5 times. I don't want to imagine what that planet would look like at that point. Tales direct sequels are a mixed bag. Normally they're better gameplay wise, but the story shits the bed. Yeah, I'm glad they put a damper on the Zelda timeline shit really early on. They stopped doing that. And like the connections between Symphonia and Fantasia are like so minor. It's like yes, it's there, but it wasn't the original intention, and it doesn't undermine anything. It's just kind of there. They were still able to have a lot of creative freedom despite doing that, and they didn't do like another 5 games with it. I think that would have been a problem, but I'm glad they didn't let it get to the point like Zelda is, where people fucking obsess over that timeline. It's like, the one guy in his office writing a couple paragraphs for the original Zelda story was not thinking of that shit, right? It was like 1985. Like, video games were still a pretty new thing, and they were recovering from the video game crash of '83. Like, you really think that guy had all of that shit planned out? No. It doesn't really need to be connected. Like, just let the games be their own thing. Maybe have like light nods or something, but I just feel like I don't know why they subject themselves to that when they make those games. Yeah, but still, they were making it to import it to other places. I don't understand why people obsess over it so much. It's like, dude, the guy that wrote A Link to the Past, he wasn't thinking like 30 years in the future. Like, we need to get this game out for the Super Nintendo launch. We're not even making it for the launch. That game didn't come out until a couple months later, so you could find whole like 5 hour long videos about that. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I so don't care. The people writing it did not care. They were not thinking about anything like that at all. Like, stop trying to make it something it's not. I guess I'll play some Switch stuff. Hold on. Alright, is it off sync on your guys' end? Because it's off sync for me right now. I'm watching on the preview window. Don't think this version of XSplit really likes my capture card. I might have to like update it or something. Let's see. I'm just gonna watch a replay of my Escalуда 2 1cc, and I think I'm just gonna go to bed. I gotta be up. Yeah, the audio. I gotta be up for Gotta be up for Battle for the Grid in the morning. Alright, I'm gonna take my meds while this is playing. I'll be back. Yeah, it's out in the morning. It'll be out in the morning. This game has such a good soundtrack. I'm not mic muted, by the way. I'm just letting this play out. I think I'll play like one more game after this. It's an arcade game. It got a port to the Xbox 360 in 2010. It has not been available since. I actually have a copy of the 360 version. This is the first port of this game in over a decade. The first one was also an arcade game, but it got a PS2 port. And then the one before that actually just got a Switch port a couple months ago. That one's only available in the Japanese eShop, and it's like 8,000 yen, so... I want to grab that one at some point, because I really like this game, but it's like never on sale. It's one of those perpetually like 8,500 yen games. It's like, I love shmups, but I can't justify that price for a shmup. This was only like 20 bucks. This was actually, I'd say, competitively priced. I think these guys understand that you can't charge that much for a shmup. Now, the other ports they're doing aren't that exciting because they've been available on PC legally for years, but this has not had a port in over a decade. I really like this game, so I wanted to support them. Hopefully they'll put, like, some of the other ones on. Looks like I left my mobile controller at my neighbor's house. I had off today, so I'm not going to be playing Punishing Gray Raven tonight, I'll tell you that much. I was about to boot that up right now. Nope. I'll have to wait until tomorrow. When I'm over there again. must have left it in the chair I used there. Probably left it in the corner and I didn't take it with me. I'm not going over there at 1 a.m. obviously. I'll just play that game in the afternoon. I was gonna play that next, but it sucks to play it on the emulator. It's actually like handicapped playing on the emulator. The buttons don't work properly. Oh man, here's the post I was looking at earlier. My thoughts exactly. I really thought I was just tired and flustered and just frustrated and annoyed. And, you know, it wasn't really the game's fault. But then you see people writing out long paragraphs, echoing the exact same thing as I was saying that night. And it makes me feel a lot better. I don't like showing myself getting that frustrated and annoyed, but it seems like my experience was not unique. There's a lot of posts about that on the Reddit. I think most people that have been playing it actively have finished it by this point. It's been about a week and a half. It's not a particularly long game, so I've seen a lot of posts about that lately. You know, this is novice mode. This is not the standard difficulty. The default mode in this is ridiculously hard. I'm glad this game's not a dick like Crimson Clover is. Crimson Clover, even if you play on novice, it still makes you fight the true last boss. It still makes you fight the true last boss, even though you're on novice. This game does not do that. It doesn't give you the true last boss when you play on novice. Even though you probably have enough auto bombs and extends to fight it. This game is pretty civilized. You play this game on Novice and not have to worry about the last boss. Crimson Clover does not do that. Nope, you get that far, 1 credit, too bad. You gotta fight the true last boss anyway. So, no 1 CC for you. You gotta grind a little bit less than somebody playing on normal, but still difficult. GG. I like this one. I'm gonna put this one up. Put this one up on the stream. Oh man, this definitely sums up how I felt that night. Oh boy, this one is worthy of being put up on the stream. Oops. I'm referring to the part right around the time when you get to Lineages. I'm hitting a new cutscene every few feet. New shoulder button cutscenes after every single one. Very little combat to break up the constant cutscenes. I've been playing this game for about 2 hours tonight, and I've had 1 fight. Yep. I really think Arise has pandemic development hell really hurting it. I wonder how much they were doing on that game, like, during the pandemic. It's very clear that, like, a lot of the game was done before the pandemic started, but they still weren't finished when lockdown started. I really think that's why the end of that game is the way it is. There's, like, such a huge quality shift between the beginning of the game and the end. I mean, Tales games have always had that problem, but, like, not that severe. I wonder if they even planned to have all those plot twists. They may not even have planned it. It might have been like something they added just to finish the game faster. So it really is weird to have all those info dumps, but then you don't really get to play any of it. It's really just watching. Don't force yourself to finish it. There's no point in forcing yourself to finish it. They're obviously going to patch that game a lot. There's no way they're not going to. Tales hasn't had good momentum with its releases for like 10 years now, so it makes more sense for them to polish the game that they have and add more to it. I know they said they didn't have plans to do that, but they probably weren't expecting it to sell 1 million copies in a week. I think they said that because they thought that it was going to sell like 200,000 copies like most Tales games do. But it sold 5 times that in the launch window, so they'd be stupid to not make more for it. I don't think the story really allows for it, but they can easily just add like extra quests and shit. They'll obviously polish the game a little bit while they're doing that as well. Doing it for Scarlet Nexus, that was nowhere near as successful. Couldn't tell if that was a 5 or a 3. It's a really weird, like, weird font. Take care. I'm not going to be on much longer. Had a very rough day. Trying to just wind down, get some rest. I already can't stand the stamina. I know there's like an upgrade system in this game though, so I'm not a fan of games where you attack like 3 times and then get tired. I want to be a tired, exhausted adult. I can just look in the mirror. I'm not interested in doing it in video games. I don't know, people fucking love stamina though. I don't really understand it myself. I think I can climb up there. Yeah, this is alright. Stamina's a real buzzkill for me. It's a shame when that happens. Stamina is just... You can do it right, but when it's like I can attack like 3 times, then I'm a sitting duck, and I'm surrounded by enemies, I just don't feel like I'm really in control. But I'm sure that game expands later on. That game's going to be on Game Pass too, so I might try that again at some point. I did try that game before, and I got turned off by the stamina. And Dark Souls is poison. Game design. Everything needs it. It's like, no, not everything needs it. The game can be challenging without making your character, a clumsy oaf. Yes, it is possible. But if you want the easy way to make it challenging, then yeah, there you go. Just make them get tired after three attacks. But that just gets old to me really fast. Yeah, a lot of those indie games are like that. They have the slow combat and like the stamina and stuff. I just can't get into it. I try to, but I just can't do it. I get really bored. But that's what sells these days. People want more souls. They kind of It's kind of been like From Software has been kind of like getting away from Souls, right? They've been trying to get away from that kind of design. Like Sekiro has like better level design, and your character doesn't have stamina, and there's jumping and stuff. More than one move, but you know that game was kind of divisive for people because it was kind of a departure from what people like. So indie games like this one kind of they fill that void for people that like that stuff, and that's fine. It's just it doesn't appeal to me, so I don't know what to say about it other than that. I'm glad people who like those games have more shit to play, but it doesn't grab me. Let's see if there's anything else I want to play on here before I go to bed. It's gonna keep nagging me to update, isn't it? Fine. Wonder if my controller's still gonna work. It might not. Apparently the firmware fucks with certain things. Oh, alright, we're good. Alright, crisis averted. Alright. Godfall's fun, but I don't understand what the developers are thinking not having animation canceling. It's got the same problem Arise does, where it's just like certain moves are useless because you can't cancel them. The only time they can be used is when the enemy is downed. Godfall has that problem because they have like the timing attacks, right? The timing attacks are supposed to be there to prevent you from button mashing. The trade-off is supposed to be you need the timing to do them. But the animations are so slow and they don't do much more damage than just your normal attacks. So I'm in the Discord for that game, people that play that game like hardcore. They all say specking and trying to build around that stuff is pointless. Because those attacks get you killed. I can get wanting your game to be more deliberate, but when you're fighting hordes of enemies and you have slow attacks, it just doesn't work. Like you play a video game to win, right? You don't play it to lose. And when you design attacks in a way that they just are a way for you to take damage and die, like, what is somebody playing going to do? They're not going to use those attacks. They're never going to use them. That's the problem with Godfall. Some of the attacks take like a fiscal year to come out. And you can't cancel, so you're stuck. You're in animation lock. I don't understand how that keeps happening. You want people to think about what moves they're using and not just button mash. You need to make at least most of them useful. You know, in a melee game, it's really hard to make everything useful. I get that. It's a lot harder than when you have, like, a character that uses a gun or something. Like, I totally understand that. not an easy feat, but if you can make like over half of the moveset at least useful in some situation, you've done a pretty good job. Like Godfall has really small movesets, and a huge chunk of it is useless. You get the worst of both worlds, really. On the other hand, the loot system in Godfall is really nice. It's implemented a lot better than, like, Nioh does. Where there's just, like, 8,000 layers of RNG and you can't really control anything. To the point that everybody I know that bought that game on PC after playing it on console just modded their gear back in. I think the loot is quite a bit better in Godfall for the most part, but you can still get a bunch of crap that's based on boosting the timing attack damage, and those attacks are pointless. They're nice for a variety, but the way the game is designed, there's no real incentive to use them. In fact, it's like a detriment to use them, because you can't cancel. I want to make a deliberate game with like 3 moves, then those 3 moves had better be the best shit out there. I mean, this game is pretty deliberate, and you don't have a large moveset, but every move you have is useful, so it never really feels repetitive. You know, you don't have to memorize long combos and shit in this game, but you have to know, like, what move is best for which situation, how to control the enemies and stuff. They did add some new moves in this, but it's like not a large amount. I think they didn't want to change the core design of this too much. They added, you know, a very limited rudimentary juggle system and a couple moves. But the moves they added really do change up the gameplay. You don't have like a laundry list of them, but what you have is useful. I prefer that. The movesets in Godfall don't compare to Nioh whatsoever. Nioh has its fair share of crap moves too, but because of the key system kind of like indirectly makes a lot of the crap moves. You can still use them for like style points. There's some that aren't going to be that useful, but you know, when the key bar gets depleted, everything staggers in the game, so that right there inherently makes crap moves, they still have some use. Also, they added a new character in this that's very combo heavy, but they didn't want to mess with their original characters too much, which I can respect. That's definitely a better way to do it, in my opinion. Especially with beat-em-ups, because most beat-em-up boomers don't want combos or anything interesting. They want punch and jump. They want it to be painfully slow. Nobody likes Raiden in this game, though. The new tank character they added, I never saw anybody play as him. That's one thing this remake did wrong, is putting a really slow and clunky character in a game that already has a very deliberate pace. I tried playing him as him once. I'm like, alright, I'm never gonna play as him again. I don't understand why he's there. But you can't really complain about it. They didn't have to add new characters. The fact that they almost doubled the roster is pretty damn cool. It's just I never saw anybody play as him. Everyone pretty much plays as the original three and Yaksha. That's it. This track is so good. This whole soundtrack is great. Well, Power Fled, the problem with Godfall is they have two kinds of bosses in that game, right? They have the mid-bosses, which are like, you know, human-sized enemies. Maybe they're like a foot or two taller than you, but they're your size. And then they have the big, giant world bosses, and all of them are awful. They're just packed full of gimmicks and, you know, not really letting you do much, to the point where people like to... The only time they like fighting those bosses is when they're overpowered, and you can just ignore all their mechanics. The mid-boss fights are really good. Is he not here anymore? Really? Huh. Well, I think I'm going to go to bed. It's 2 in the morning. I gotta be up. Thanks for watching. I'll be on in the morning when Ninja Adam comes out. See you guys then.